spell it and the firm and anything, please?
Okay. Hi, my name is Lauren Razor. I'm an attorney here in Mount Vernon. My office is 11 West Prospect Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York. Right across the street, I represent Mr. Gordon Gerard. We're here today to talk about an injustice that has taken place. It is more to this story, and I apologize. I don't know if I should take some of this down. It's more to this story than meets the eye. My client was arrested by several officers of the Mount Vernon Police Department. It involved an arrest for what they claim as crack cocaine. My client denied it. My client has been fighting against the prosecution in the district attorney's office for more than a year. We've met with the district attorney, Anthony Scarpino. We've met with, not him specifically, but we met with members of his team. We've asked at least for an apology. His case was, my client's case, Mr. Tarrant, was eventually dismissed. And we've asked them to expunge his record. He's not able to work as a result of this particular arrest. He has been vilified in terms of, there was a big press conference under another administration where 22 people were arrested, and my client was part of that arrest. In addition to that, we know that the Exoneration Project is involved with looking into some of those arrests. The Legal Aid Society is also looking into some of those arrests. In addition to that, we're looking at how you're tying in with some of the tapes called the Bobel tapes, and whether my client was entitled to have that information, and whether the Legal Aid Society and other groups were entitled to have some of that discovery that would have told us a little bit about an officer that was head of this particular drug arrest, Detective Camilla Antonini. So this is a widespread injustice that involves numerous people in Mount Vernon. We called on the Attorney General to look into this. We've called on Governor Cuomo to look into this. But the fact of the matter is Mr. Tarrant has been aggrieved, and he'll tell you a little bit about how he is feeling about what has happened to him.
Before he speaks, why don't you break down exactly what happened to him? The police knocked on his door. Take it from there.
Well, he would be better to say it, but the police knocked on his door, allegedly saying that there was some sort of warrant. Mr. Tarrant indicated that he was not the subject of any probation violations or any type of warrant violations. He was so afraid of opening the door, he called the state police. Didn't realize they were part of this investigation, and they were also outside the door. He actually agreed, came outside, not knowing that he was going to be arrested for being involved in some sort of crack sale. His family, who was standing here, his wife, who was standing here, she was also in the house, and I believe your aunt was in the house. And what time of morning?
Around
6:15-ish in the morning. They were in their pajamas. Guns were drawn as they came into the house to actually look for Mr. Tarrant, and because he didn't want his family to be terrorized, he stepped outside. He's gone to court for about 20 times, and eventually the district attorney ended up dismissing the charges against him. Some of the other defendants didn't have that opportunity. Some of them did plead guilty. We believe some of them pled guilty under coerced circumstances just to get it over with. But this is going to be widespread. We're calling on the city of Mount Vernon. We're calling on any investigative agency, including Mimi Roca, to look into this matter, and we're calling on a widespread investigation. But we filed a federal lawsuit, and the federal lawsuit does name Detective Camillo Antonini and various other officers that were involved, state officers, and district attorneys, assistant district attorneys, who refused to listen and investigate properly to determine that this gentleman was not part of any kind of crack sale or anything like that.
He was wrongfully arrested.
Yes.
And prosecuted.
Yes, yes, and not believed until almost a year later.
How long ago was this?
It was 2018. It came about April 16, 2018.
So the next year in August.
Yes, about a year for it to be over. And the family and Mr. Terod has suffered greatly as a result of this arrest.
Perhaps you could tell us the story?
Well, it's not really a story to tell, other than one day you wake up, it's a regular day. My wife is ready to go to work. I usually get my coffee, read the paper, look at the news. I hear the knocks at the door. I look to the peephole, it's the police. They're saying parole, probation, and pardon services. I said, look, you got the wrong place. One officer, I guess he notices my voice. He says, Gordon, you know we want you, come on out. So I said, hold on, y'all got something wrong. Y'all at the wrong place. And we went on with that for about a half an hour until my Sergeant Stewart started threatening to kick my door down profusely. I mean, he kept saying that the squad was coming with the battering ram and all of this. The next thing, I told my wife, look, please don't go to work. They may set a bail if they have to take me to jail or something. I don't know what the hell they got me for. I turned myself in the hallway. As soon as I open my door and I'm turning myself into the guys, they rushed my house with the whole battalion of many forces. So I got guns drawn on every lady in my house, which they never had stuff like that happen to them before. Nor did I have to have it happen to myself. My big question is, why do you make a decision like this to do what the hell you want? It wasn't no other reason. It wasn't because I was actually out here selling drugs. I was actually in my house. All evidence points to me being innocent, but they never looked for me to be innocent. From day one in this courtroom, they said I was guilty. From day one in this courtroom, they offered me a plea. It continued for a year and a half. Plea, 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 plea. If I'd accepted any one of them, they would have been happy with it. All right? That would have just been my fate, sealed and signed. But I fought it out. They threatened to take it to trial. I said, all right, let's go to trial. We get to picking the jury. Now they reneging on everything. They don't want to pick a jury. Now they don't believe in the officer, or they don't believe in the snitch's testimony. What's going on? What's really going on in this police department?
What did they think? What evidence did they say they had on you?
They never had any evidence on me. It was just hearsay from Officer Antonini and his underlings. Whatever they say goes in this city, basically. If you fight them in a traffic stop and you pull your camera out to record them, you're gonna be flagged in this police station. That's probably most of my fight. I get pulled over, I record it. Next thing you know, I'm getting pulled over a bunch of more times, but not getting tickets. But they're always asking me if I got drugs or guns in the car. If I have drugs and guns in the car, pull me over and just take the guns and the drugs out of the car. Don't just keep pulling me over, asking me about something, making me a suspect for something I'm never a suspect for.
Are you saying these happened just systematically after this whole incident?
This has been happening with this police department ever since I came back to New York.
With you specifically?
Yeah, not just me, other people in this town too. My close friends.
In the parole violation?
I never had parole. I never been on parole. I never been on probation. So how do you at my house talking about probation and parole?
Did they have a warrant? Did they have a warrant to
They
search
didn't
your
have
house?
a warrant that day. They had a warrant when they got to the police station.
So they came in your house to search your house without a warrant?
Without a warrant.
The most important thing is that we're public here. We want to make sure Terod and his family is safe. That as a result of what we're saying and bringing up, we don't want him to be harassed by any members of the police department, and we want to make sure that everyone knows and that his family is safe to be here.
This is the same Detective Antonini that's been written about in The Gothamist with the whistleblower
Yes, it is.
tapes, that big story? This is the same. Well,
Yes, this is the same Antonini. Now, I'm not sure if he's suspended or desk duty or what the situation is, but this is another matter that appears where his name continues to come up in these types of arrests that turn out to be unlawful arrests. Thank you.
At this point now, you've been cleared.
Yes.
Yes, his
Yes.
case was dismissed. They were not able to prove their case, and pretty much, you know, we're ready to look for justice. And if we have to go higher, that's what we have to do. Thank you.
has there been any interaction after that? Have they any retaliation? Anything after the
Well,
fact?
just last night, I live in where it's a private lane, and I had an officer, instead of him just coming through and doing a security check, I'm waiting on my wife to come downstairs. There's nowhere to park on Lincoln Avenue where I live in particular. The cop pulls behind me, and you know he got in and started running my license plate and stuff. Next thing you know, he getting out telling me where I live, that he's gonna give me a ticket, and he didn't even know how long I was there. So yeah, it happens, and it still happens.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ready? Okay.